ahead and call the meeting of the Affordable Housing Committee to order, and I'll let Jake take it from here. Jake?
Yep, I'm here. I apologize. I was just taking my sweatshirt off. All right. So we called the meeting to order, right?
If you want to call the board to order.
Yep. So I'll call the Affordable Housing Trust to order.
All right. All right, we've got, with that, I'm going to go ahead and read the pandemic information. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, in accordance with the Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, public bodies otherwise governed by the OML are temporarily relieved from the requirement that meetings be held in public places, open and physically accessible to the public, so long as measures are taken to ensure public access to the body's deliberations through adequate and alternative means. This meeting will be live on Zoom. The public may participate remotely by joining Zoom, which is meeting ID number 818-0509-7403, or by calling 929-205-6099. For additional information about remote participation, please contact Alicia Hershey at ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8220, extension 142, prior to the meeting. All right, that was on the top of the agenda. I've got the agenda in front of me. Does anybody have any corrections or updates that they would like to make with regards to the agenda?
No.
All right. Can I hear a motion to accept the agenda as written?
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda for the Affordable Housing Committee.
All right, and that was Ken Diskin who made the motion, seconded by somebody?
Second.
Ron Morrison seconds. All right, I'm going to do a roll call. Cindy Lavin?
Aye.
Jeff Tillotson?
Aye.
Sean Copeland?
Aye.
Ron Morrison?
Aye.
Ken Diskin?
Aye.
Jake Driscoll?
Aye.
Pat Bagney-Latimer?
Aye.
And the chair, Janet Providakis, says aye. That's been passed, so the agenda is as approved. Now we're going to go through and approve the minutes that Cindy has written. Tell you, you're a great clerk. Really good information on here, Cindy. This is the minutes for November 8th, 2021. I'm going to look for the committee members, Ken and Ron, myself, to go ahead and approve the minutes, unless you've got any type of corrections.
I'm good.
Okay, Ron?
I'm okay.
All right, so can I have a motion to accept the minutes between Ron and Ken?
I'll make a motion that the Ayer Affordable Housing Committee accept the minutes of November 8th, 2021 as written.
Okay,
Second.
all right, and all in favor, Ron,
Aye.
Ken,
Aye.
and Chairman Janet says aye, so we approve it. Jake, you want to ask the trust?
All right. Cindy?
I'd like to make a
Gotta
motion
get a
that we,
motion. Jake, you gotta get a motion first.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the Air Affordable Housing Trust minutes for November 8th, 2021 as presented.
I'll second that.
All right. Down here. Can I do a roll call? Cindy?
Aye.
You, Pat?
Aye. Sorry.
No, you're good. Sean?
Aye.
Am I missing any? That's all.
Jeff votes aye.
Yeah.
Fantastic job, incidentally.
It's hard to do when we're not in the same room. It really is.
It really is, I know it is.
I apologize. Who did I miss on that?
Jeff Tillotson, but I voted aye, Jake, and James and Colleen are not with us now, so they won't be voting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so it's been passed with the minutes. All right, we've got public comment and questions. I know that we've got someone from the public online. Do you want to identify yourself and let us know if you've got any comments and questions?
Go on.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, this is Steve Wenzel. I'm calling in.
Oh, hi, Steve.
How are you?
I'm doing fine,
I'm-
Steve, right? You're next on the list anyways.
Yeah, I didn't know if I was the only one or not, so I figured I'd at least let you know it was me that you might be seeing.
Okay, no, that sounds good. All right, well, is there anybody else online to go ahead and give any type of public comment or questions? One thing I keep reiterating is if there are any, as you're viewing this on Channel 8 or over the internet through APAC, go ahead and give a call over to Alicia. We've got her phone number that should be on the bottom of the screen. And with that, if there's any type of things that you want to go ahead and be able to discuss, any topics and such, let her know and we'll be able to put it and try to get answers for you and during our next meeting. This is a joint meeting of both the committee as well as the Board of Trustees for the Affordable Housing units. All right, if there's nothing else from the public, I'm just going to go ahead and go to the next item on the agenda, which is Steve Wetzel. Steve is, I'm going to say, forgive me if I say co-owner of what used to be called Casa Manor, Mitzi's Place, or Mimi's Place, forgive me, Mimi's Place down on East Main Street. And he'd like to go ahead and ask some questions with regards to some of the property there and maybe some others. So Steve, go ahead, take it away.
Well, thank you very much. I guess one thing is, how do I mute this when I'm done? I kind of lucked out and just hit a couple of buttons and you can hear me. So is there a way to mute me so, I can listen and make noise and you don't hear it?
Steve, this is Cindy Knox.
Yep.
There should be a function on your phone to mute it. If you can't find it though, I can mute you when you're finished. Just let me know if you can't find it.
Oh, okay, because I hit like *6 or something and it. Okay, so
Yeah, there's something I can't remember, but I can mute you from here if you'd like when you're finished.
Yeah.
okay, thank you,
Thank
Cindy.
you too as well. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so full disclosure, I did sit on the Affordable Housing Commission, a year or two ago, and I know the work that it was doing back then. And one of the things I just wanted to ask in an overall, a general sense, is I know there's a lot of discussion. Obviously, the name of the commission is looking for affordable housing. And I guess the questions I have are, have you looked into tiny houses? Has that been discussed? Also, things like smaller units. I know both of these we kind of talked a little bit about when I was on the commission. I'm just wondering if there was any further discussion, anything that might be coming on the horizon. I know in Ayer it's 750 square feet for an apartment. I know there's a lot more, that are less than that have been approved by different boards. But just trying to get a sense of where this board is sort of heading in regards to either tiny houses or smaller units in town that might be a little more affordable for people.
Question.
Go ahead, Cindy.
Okay, I don't think that this is where that question belongs. There's bylaws that would have to be changed first, aren't there? So I'm not sure that it really matters what, not that the Affordable Housing Committee, not commission, committee can't have an opinion on it, but doesn't there have to be bylaw work that would change first? So
Yeah, yeah,
it seems like this is out of order, that you need to do that before, unless you're just trying to get a general sense of how everybody feels about it.
right. That's really, I'm not looking for an opinion or anything, set in stone. That I'm not looking for a letter from anybody. I'm just seeing what the discussion has been, and are you heading in any ways like that, or has anything like that been discussed?
Steve, when you
Again,
were
a
on,
general sense, just a general idea, general sense.
Madam Chair, this is
Yeah,
Jeff Tillotson.
yeah, go
I know
ahead,
Steve. I know Steve can't see us. This is Jeff Tillotson. I'm the member of the Affordable Housing Trust, who's also a member of the Planning Board, and Mr. Diskin is also in this meeting. If I can it might take 30 seconds and give you a quick overview. Mr. Wenzel, you're asking about tiny homes. There is nothing in the way of a quote unquote tiny home that is currently in our bylaw defined or identified as a tiny home. We do have accessory dwelling units, which is something that we recently brought to the town. The town was in their great wisdom accepted the accessory dwelling unit. You can by all means go into the bylaw and see how they are defined. You mentioned a moment ago 750 square feet minimum. There are different size minimums based on the size, on the number of floors, and where they are actually located on the property and where they're located in the town. So it's a little more complex than it's 750 square feet. But that is something that has been adopted by the town, and accessory dwelling units need to be, and I'll stop there. It can get really, really detailed really fast, and we'll lose everyone's eyes will glass over. Mr. Diskin, if you want to add anything to that. But I think that's probably a pretty fair statement. The town is interested in allowing accessory dwelling units.
Yeah, Madam Chair.
yes, go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, so Steve, as you are aware, yeah, we did chat a while back about any kind of options, but the long and short of it is that I don't think this committee is opposed to any kind of affordable housing that can be worked out, in one way or another. And we would be only at even before preliminary stage at the planning board level. And Jeff actually has mentioned it, that it would be something we should look at in the future. So it's there somewhere, but not at the top of the list at the moment. But I think as a committee, I'm speaking for myself, no, but as a committee member, we would look at any kind of affordable option that's available throughout the town. I think one of the things, and I'll speak this now from a planning board angle, we need to take a closer look as a planning board at making sure what zoning districts allow different kinds of housing, so that we don't, as we have some districts that don't allow certain configurations. For instance, some districts may not allow multifamily housing. So I think the first step I would recommend to the planning board is for us to take a close look that we're not excluding any particular housing style from one neighborhood or another in town. And that typically goes back to the history of zoning, snob zoning. So I think we want to make sure as a town that we do allow many different kinds of options in different sections of town. So, but sometimes we get too many proposals in front of us. We don't have a chance to sit down and look at the long-term aspects of it. But I would say, just as a member of this committee and a member of the planning board, that I think most members of these committees would be available to look at any kind of housing that would help satisfy a need in town, my own opinion.
No, I think you're right, Ken. Just to go ahead, to reiterate, Steve, when you were on the committee, we did talk about different options and such of, converting older buildings, so that, we even talked about rooming houses and such, just so that there would be some other type of rental properties within town. So tiny houses was even brought up. We even had one woman come in, and start talking a little bit about what they were trying to attempt to do. And with that, I hope you are aware that the town is working on affordable housing units out on Fitchburg Road, 106 units out that way, which would be all affordable within
Yes.
okay, you are aware of that. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that, that has been, the committee's first priority was creating the housing trust and the housing trust board. And with that, then we've moved forward so that we do have now this new property that hopefully we'll have more information about later on in the meeting today. But yeah, I agree with what Ken is saying, that we are looking for other ways to make sure that we do have affordable units within the town. And we would be looking for any type of opportunity and working with the respective boards of what they have. So does that help out at all, Steve?
Yeah, that's really all I was looking for. Is like if you had said no, we're totally against something, then I would know. Okay, this probably isn't any type of a future option. But I think what you said is perfect. And again, it's not trying to hold anybody to anything. I just wanted to get a sense, because I haven't been on the board in a while, on where everything is sort of heading, and I guess I like the way it's heading. So, yeah, I thank the board for hearing my question and just kind of letting me know how you feel. So that's really all I was looking for.
Okay. All right. And
Madam
also-
Chair, if I
I
may.
was going to say, Janet, does
Yeah,
anyone
go
else
ahead.
have a comment, Janet, while we're here?
Right, I know that. Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
Thank you. Steve, Jeff Tillotson here. I think I'm guessing you're on
Hi.
the phone, so you can't say who's there. I'll make
Right.
the same offer to you that we make to folks when they come to our meeting at the plan. And I'm going to speak as a planning board member right now. And my opinion is we'd love to get input. We are looking at housing across the entire spectrum right now. And we brought a lot of zoning changes to the town in the last 5 years. I think there's always an opportunity to build zoning that will better serve our community. And so any input that you might have would be fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Madam Chair.
Alicia?
Thank you, thank you. The one other thing that I'm trying to remember, I think that our zoning and our two planning board members can probably get me up to speed on this, has something in there about rooming houses. But I think that you are only allowed to have up to 4 unrelated people living together, or is it 3? I
Yeah.
think it's 4.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's 4.
Yeah, and Alicia,
Do you want me to pull the zoning book or?
here's what I'm going to say, okay? And I'm kind of new to town in the last decade. I have a feeling that our zoning bylaws reflected what was going on based on the pressure the base was putting on the town.
Yep.
And we've now seen with the advent of Worcester on the bounce and remote working, there's great opportunities for people to, and with our commuter rail here, I think there's probably new opportunities for us to make it like I said, to be able to cater to a larger cross section of folks. I think the issues that were here when Devon's was here, when people were densely packed together, probably won't exist again.
Yep.
Because we seem to have a more stable residency. I just made up
Well,
a word.
I-
Yeah.
Just on the discussion about housing types, because we're quickly here, I live in a town that has an unbelievably beautiful rooming house.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's worth everyone. In fact, I'll see, sometimes it's online and you can go see it. And I think the woman who owns it now is getting about $800 a room. But the rooming house is a beautiful house. It is kept impeccably. It has a gourmet kitchen and two living rooms that are community rooms. It's got an in-ground swimming pool. It's an old estate house. And I know a number of people who live there. But $800 is something that some people can afford, and then it's got community living beyond that. You have to keep your room to a certain standard and that sort of thing, and so it's something that is another zoning possibility that we could encourage, because there are people that can only afford a room versus a whole apartment.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You've obviously touched something I'm very interested in. Littleton is doing co-housing. just over the border from us. And I had an opportunity to help the proponent with that, think about how they were dealing with the planning in Littleton. And we'll see how that comes together. But co-housing is another opportunity where you're basically building a small village.
Yes.
Acton has some co-housing.
Acton has very successful co-housing, yes.
I have a question, Madam Chair.
Okay, cool.
So Alicia, you said that Ayer limits to 4 unrelated people. Are you suggesting that perhaps that should be revisited and raised?
Well, if we're looking at zoning in general, and maybe once we get some of these other things done, we can look at our zoning and look at some of the things that would encourage the kind of housing that we want, encourage a rooming house that we might want, encourage a co-housing that we'd like, and just see how we need to change our zoning to really, and this is a long-term, but we've got 2 planners here with us. And so this is, and just give our opinions, because it's not going to come out of the Affordable Housing Trust and Committee, but some of the ideas might come out of there.
Thank you.
And obviously what's happened with Devon's Crest, what's happened
Thank you,
with,
Ken.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, Jeff Tillotson again. What's happened with Devon's Crest and with the other, I want to say small A housing we've got here in town, it's become pretty apparent that so the making of zoning bylaws is like making laws. It's tough and you got to go through it. And it's difficult to change a small part without looking at its impact upon everything else. Where Ayer was 5 years ago is we had literally engineers in the room saying, are you going to do chapter 3 or chapter 7? Which one are you going to enforce this time? Because we actually had parts of the zoning bylaw were contradictory. We've figured that all out. And I've said to the board multiple times, I don't want to keep going back to the town for zoning changes because people lose faith. But this is something we probably need to look at. We've talked about short-term rentals, which is an important part because that eats into our affordable housing. There's a trade-off. Do you want to rent your place out for the weekend for big bucks, or do you want to have a good stable resident in there for the rest of the year? So we have to look at that. So we're working on that a little bit right now, Cindy. And to answer your question, Alicia, I think looking at the short-term rooming house and other types is probably something that can be bundled into that. It doesn't create more work. It just needs to get done. I think, I hate to say it, but we got to do it kind of in lockstep. So we're not imposing something that will not be well thought out and not be honestly be broad enough to offer the affordable housing that's needed, because we are seeing what's happening everywhere in this country. And that is the bottom and middle housing is disappearing.
Yeah, no, that's true. I know Ken had his hand up. Ken?
Well, just, Alicia, I've got it right here. So it's a rooming house or boarding house is an owner occupied detached single-family dwelling in which long-term non-transient lodging with or without meals is supplied for compensation to not more than 3 persons unrelated to the owner. So I guess there would be the owner and 3 additional, according to what's written here. Without cooking for exclusive use of individual occupants. Then it clarifies a couple other things, but it also presents the same thing I mentioned. This is allowed in, not allowed in every district. It's allowed in basically general residence and in the, form-based code districts, the more densely, occupied, not densely occupied, more dense, smaller lots, basically, in more dense housing parts of town. So it's not allowed in every part of the town, which is, I guess, things we have to look at is, do we want to expand some of these opportunities? I'm not sure.
So, I mean, it makes sense with what, you and Jeff just spoke about, because as you're looking at these zoning bylaws, you want to make sure it's something that is going to not contradict each other, as well as looking for, future of how the town is going to keep progressing one way and another. So, again, you guys went through it once, and I could see how it pulled out your hair. But it's like enough of.
I still got mine.
I'm not going to say anything. It's like, but yeah. So I can understand. why it's going to take some time. And like Alicia was saying, it would be good to at least start, keep looking at it and moving forward and take it one step at a time, making sure we get other projects done as well in between. So I think that works out well. All right, any other discussion points on that?
I just wanted to bring back, I'm a big rooming house proponent. And it's interesting how we're having trouble with our motels because the state motel law says that no person can stay more than 90 days in a motel room. But a rooming house law would allow you to change that outcome. Okay. Now, but you have to really, the rooming house would have to be really thought out long-term, how you regulate that and that sort of thing. But it is that in between the person who's renting a motel room, because that's what they can do, versus the person who can rent a room in a house. But I think it requires quite, supervision and all that sort of stuff in the house too. I don't know. It's just, I'm sorry, we can go on. Just mentioning.
Mm-hmm. No, I understand. It's like, oh, I didn't know if anybody else had anything else to add. Okay, I'm
This
gonna
is
move.
Steve.
Yes, Steve.
So Alicia, I appreciate those points you just made. I think those were probably critical to anything like a rooming house, so I appreciate that. The other question I had is co-housing. Is that the same as or similar to congregate housing?
Yes.
It is? Okay. I just hadn't heard the term co-housing before, so, okay. Again, thank you to both let's see, it's a committee and is it a board?
Yes.
A trust, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
So thank you both for listening and stay safe. It's snowing.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. All right, bye-bye. All right, next on the agenda, we do have we call the Hudlin property. We noticed a couple weeks ago, it is approximately 7 acres of land off of High Street. It sort of borders right by Neshoba Park, Volunteers of America property, as well as Groton Harvard Road. And I put this on the agenda because I know that we've sent letters and in our emails to other departments asking whether or not they would be thinking about possibly purchasing it. And I also sent an email to Ron and Pat finding out a little bit more about it. Because again, this land abuts the Groton Harvard Road as well as some of the land that the town already owns over by Central Ave. So back in 2016, we had also looked at it because we did have the offer of some of the Safakis family's land, which is also on the other side of, bear with me, High Street as well as Cambridge. So with that, it would have been nice to be able to connect all that together. However, I think from what Ron can go ahead and update us on the property, there is a agreement by a developer.
Right, there is an agreement, yes. There's an agreement where it's at the level with attorneys.
Okay, so pretty much.
How big is the property again?
It's just over 7 acres.
Thank you.
It's the same
Ron.
size as the property that's being developed down across from Madigan's on 119.
Excuse me, is that an individual property that's over 7 acres, or is it a group of properties equaling
No,
7 acres?
it's one lot.
Is it one lot or is it, I mean, it's owned by Hudlin, but are there a few lots like in that area that it's owned by Hudlin that they putting together to make the 7?
No, I believe, if I recall, it's been a while since the agreement's been in place for months. if I recall, it's 7 acres at the top of the hill. There are a couple of other individual lots, which are on paper streets.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Alicia?
So I went in and looked at this and I wanted to get a clarification from Ron. The lot that says it's Hudlin, was the lot that I thought Matt Field owns.
No, not that I know of. No, they own it. The Hudlins own it.
I wonder if Matt ever had a contract on it. Anyway, because
Matt did. That was Emily's Way that they were going to create.
yes,
Off of
is this
Matt-
the Emily Way property?
Yeah, that was back also in 2016.
Ron, is this the Emily Way property?
It's not.
I'm not sure of that. No, I don't recall. And
There's 3 lots up there. I went and looked at it on the town website. And the one that says Hudlin is the one that I thought was the Matt Field property where he came to town, maybe 5-6 years ago and was talking to us about a 40B. It's a tough property because it's got a lot of rock.
oh
and
yeah,
a lot
it's
of
not
ledge.
an easy property to develop, no question.
But
It runs from the parking lot of the assisted living
yeah.
spot up there downhill towards Groton Harvard Road.
Madam Chair, it's Jeffrey. Would it be helpful if I shared the assessor's GIS map so we can talk about this in front of us?
Well, I mean, we can, however, the whole problem behind it is it's under agreement. So
I know, but it just even to have the lots, just so we have a discussion. But if it's is it when you say it's in agreement, Ron, it's in PNS or is it still under offer?
In between the offer and purchase and sales.
So it's not at PNS yet. Thank you.
Yeah, it's in the control of, it's no longer in the control of the broker. It's now in control of the attorneys.
Mhm.
I can go
Yeah.
ahead. I do have the map as well.
Yeah, because I'm just looking at it. If you do the quick math on the Headland properties that are owned up there, there are actually 4 of them that do add up to roughly 7+
Correct.
acres. So the
Yeah.
large one's 5 7/4, and then there are other ones, and that including some residences that already exist in Groton Harvard Road.
Can you guys see the map?
Yeah. I was actually using the GIS from here in town, which actually gives you the borders and the information on it. So, yeah.
All right, let me, Cindy, I don't know, hold on. Let me stop sharing. And
Thanks, Cindy.
I can turn that on.
Thank you.
Got it.
Got it.
go ahead.
I gotta do the correct one. So, do you see that?
Yes,
Okay.
no,
So, no.
no, now we're back to the assessors.
Got it. Got it. I see what happened. I'm on a new computer now. Okay, so there we are. So if I did a search on the name Headland under Mr. Mapper here from the town, I'm going to close this window quickly. These green items, I'm sorry, I'm going to do the searching. These are all Headland properties. Those added up equal
Almost 8 acres.
yeah, 7 and change. So there may or may not be one in that. This home here is actually lived in now. So, but here I am. I can't figure out.
And I
how
think
to-
Emily's Way is the one that's
This is,
hashtag.
yeah. So this one here, so hold on a second. Depending on where you click on it, it puts the, okay. So Emily's Way came to the planning board since I joined it, which is 2015, 2016. And that is a subdivision that's already laid out. That's the one, Alicia, you were talking about.
Yes.
That is not, the Headland property is this open piece, the
Okay.
large one is this open piece here. So this is a Headland property here. See where it says Headland?
Hudlin.
Hudlin, excuse me, this is a Hudlin property here. This large piece, which actually you can't see because of the way the GIS works, reaches out to Groton Harvard Road, but it doesn't have 100 feet of frontage out there. That's a Hudlin piece. This small parcel here is a Hudlin parcel. This parcel is a Hudlin parcel. And that parcel is a Hudland parcel.
Got it.
As you read this down, you see lot size here in the middle says 0.45. So I just did a quick back of the envelope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 properties gets, as Ken said, just around 8. Just around 8 acres, 7 and change if you pull one out. What I'll do now is I'm just going to once again bring it up by last name, and it will highlight all of the properties that belong in that area. And so this is what I was offering, Madam Chair. There's also 2 more down here on the corner of Central. So these 3, these 2, and this large one are contiguous. These 2 are contiguous. These 2 are contiguous but separate. And this land is not identified as ownership yet in the database. And these 2 are contiguous, but the whole parcel doesn't fit together.
The oval one that you just pointed to, that is
The
owned
oval,
by,
yeah.
that is owned by the town of Ayer.
Yes, this is actually owned by the town of Ayer. And
Correct.
but the property around it won't come up in GIS. What looks like a racetrack. These are the paper streets, I believe, that
Right.
that Ron was talking about.
Correct.
Paper streets, and Mr. Disking can talk for hours about those, are an interesting leftover piece. But I'm assuming this would be the large section, and since they need frontage, I'm assuming they would go to Groton Harvard Road for the frontage. And and again, assumptions. There's a home on this piece. There's 25 feet of frontage here and 62 feet of frontage here.
That
It would-
25, from what I understand, that 25 foot of frontage,
Mhm.
if you back out, that is a road that gets up to the house. See,
Right here.
see what,
Also the other house, the one that's not highlighted.
the one that's not
Yes.
highlighted in green, that is an
Exactly.
access road to get to that
Exactly.
house.
Yeah, and actually, this was a conversation that took place. It's coming back to me from, anyway, so I'm not sure which, well, that's going to be up to the people, and I'm not going to give them, I can't and won't give any kind of recommendation on stuff, but I just want, so this, I believe, is the Hudland property the Hudland properties that we're talking about.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing now.
You can still share.
You can't see who's who, but it's interesting to hear that it's already has an accepted offer.
Yeah, you know, again, when I saw that it was for sale, I mentioned it to departments in town, and they thought that it may have been a developer that was interested in it. So again, I reached out to Ron, and Ron told me it was under agreement. So it would have been nice, because again, we've got that town of Air property, and then there's another path or road that goes out to that town of Air property, but it stops because of the Hudson land. So I just thought it would be nice to be able to pick that up. I know that there's been some discussion, it would have been nice, even someone saying for the Council of Aging, but I don't think you could build anything that large that they're looking for there. I mean, the house is good size with the a little shed that's out back there, but that's really the only, if I say non-ledge land, it still has ledge, because I'm trying to remember what the basement looks like.
Well,
But
if you look at Central Ave, I think you can understand that they can build on.
correct. Oh yeah, I mean they can they can blow
It
into
might blow a
anything.
few houses off their foundations, but
Right.
it can get built.
True, and I think
Just a
that's
matter of how much.
Mm-hmm. And that was one of the things with regards to Emily's Way.
I also would keep in mind that real estate's a very fluid business. You never know what's going to happen. It's never over till it's over, as they say.
Okay, so which means, does that mean that we keep trying to see if we can pursue it with the town?
I would say if if there's a serious interest, my suggestion would be that the town make an offer and at least they'd be in a backup position if nothing else.
All right.
I mean, that's the way it would be handled from a
Mhm.
real estate standpoint.
Okay.
Madam Chair, may I ask a
Yes,
question
Jeff?
of Mr. Diskin? He may be able to help me off the top of his head without me looking it up. If I look at our zoning map, Mr. Diskin, a portion of that land is in mixed-use transitional along Central Avenue,
Correct.
and a portion of that land is also A1 or A2.
A2.
So what I was thinking, and this is a kind of a wacko thing, and if I permission to speak wacko, I do it all the time anyway. So the town of Ayer owns a hunk of land. I'm going to share my screen again, and bear with me for 30 seconds. I think this is going to be, it's turned off, but anyway, that racetrack piece of land that's there.
Yeah.
So
Jeff,
we
it's back
don't,
on.
thank you very much. And, Mr. Wetzel got me thinking about stuff, okay? And if we remember where that site is, okay? And let me pull up the Hudlin properties again. It's not an unknown thing, and I don't know how to accomplish this, and I'm probably going to create a lot more work for myself by saying this out loud. Let's say that there is a successful, and I want all real estate transactions to be successful, honestly. There's a successful transaction for this land, and this land becomes housing, not open space through CPC, which I think we were going with the conversation, Madam Chair. This piece of land is owned by the town and it's landlocked. I wonder if there wouldn't be a way to make that part of the deal and have them build us some housing, affordable based housing.
Yeah.
I believe, again.
I'm just thinking out of the box, outside the
Yeah.
box, guys.
Well, you know what? If you go to you've got your large green
Yeah.
box for Hudlin.
Mhm.
All right. If you look right underneath it to that path.
Yeah.
No, not there, not there. The one that goes from Groton to Harvard.
That's it. Right away. Town right away.
This one here.
Town right away.
No,
Keep going down.
no.
Yeah,
The long one.
I know, but it's such a small computer
No,
screen.
no,
it's hard
not
to-
that. Jeff. South.
No,
Go south.
27,163.
Go south to right there. That one.
Yes.
Okay. And that's also, if you call landlocked, it goes
Yeah.
nowhere. It
Right.
goes
Well,
into the Hudlin property.
That's worth a fortune to the Hudlin people.
Yep. Well, it's still I'm looking at this and I'm saying to myself, its frontage is 40 feet.
It's a
Road width.
That's
That's
gonna
it.
be a very interesting little strip of land in the towns, if this project goes forward.
I'm curious what these are back here.
Probably sheds that don't belong there.
Yeah, exactly. But you see what I'm saying, Mr. Diskin? This piece of property is landlocked. We're looking for housing. This is a paper street.
May I jump in here?
Yeah. I'm sorry to be thinking outside the box, guys. but
No, and it's not outside the box. I mean,
I think
If we're going to lose this as green space, let's make it housing.
Really, really preliminary till we see what happens.
Yes, it's true.
I know, but unless we start asking questions and pursuing it, I know that Parks and Rec and Mark Wetzel looked at that racetrack. And they said that, it was just the ledge and forest and such, and they really didn't see any type of use by the town then and there. But Alicia, what were you going to go ahead and talk about?
So a little bit, I think this is an interesting and important conversation, but I think that it actually, like so many other things, whether we're talking about changing zoning bylaws and things like that, it's a bigger and more complex conversation. Janet requested tax title properties or properties that might go into tax title from the treasurer. And there's a couple of properties there of interest too. And what we would possibly look at, and we should look at what town properties we have as well. because we can always take a property and put it out for RFP to have somebody come in, a nonprofit come in and build us some affordable housing. Unfortunately, so I think that we should probably put it on our agenda after we get our rental assistance thing moved through and maybe January or February, put it on an agenda to look at all these different things and have just an initial discussion and see which way we're going to start going and looking at possibilities. And that'll allow some time for this to flush out and see if something's going to go in the real estate market.
Ron, are you allowed to say who the developer is?
No,
Okay. All right. So maybe, again, I would still like to keep it in the forefront of the town, so, I mean, Sean, does that make sense for being the select board, just to go ahead and say, if there are some opportunities, this might be something that we can go ahead and start looking at?
I have a suggestion.
I'm going to stop sharing so I can see everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Cindy. Knox.
Okay, go ahead, Ken.
Madam Chair, so I would not be of the opinion that we would keep rambling around, but I would be of the opinion that if the select board were able to do it, they could ask some qualified person like the town engineer to do a minimum of a site walk. And in a site walk, determine that, if the town is going to be in a position where they have to blow ledge or there's hazardous material or some other deleterious situation, why would we spend much more time on it? I guess would be my thought on that. So I'm not looking at it as just a big piece of land at so many acres. I want to know what that land is, its potential is.
Mm-hmm.
So for the town, before I support the town, looking around, because I think there's a lot of other land in town that there's not ledge that we might be able to, pursue somewhere along the line.
I understand that. Yeah. Alicia?
Actually, I've been trying to get Alan to go out and walk on that property with me. But anyway, so Ken, come by sometime, tell me, and I'll bring boots. We'll go look. But actually, if we can put together that on our agenda at some point, we can start identifying some properties that we want to actually go take a look at, see how viable they are, including town properties, that sort of thing, and just start making a list, which was what we started with, Janet, when you asked the treasurer for a list of properties.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
true.
May I ask, when we went to look at Mr. Diskin made me aware of this recently, and I know it's been floating around for a while and I hadn't paid attention to it, but there was a project done by Massachusetts Regional Planning Council on behalf of conservation not too long ago that identified all the land here in town. And then conservation went out and put upon it, they identified it as what value it was to them for a bunch of different reasons. And don't ask me what the reasons are. They're all valid. I just don't know what they are off the top of my head. And so that actually exists. It's on the conservation website, on their webpage. The whole report that was done, and Mr. Diskin and I have talked about this a bunch of different times. And that's one thing. The other question I have is the homes that were built through a Habitat for Humanity. Do those have basements? Does anybody know? Are they built on slab?
The ones the one on Shirley Street has his basement. Yeah, they both have basements.
The ones on Central Ave have basements?
Yeah, they have basements.
Okay, I just don't know. I think Alicia's talking, but she's on mute because there's no way through to that property from if I do it off the top of my head, it doesn't look like that reaches through to that property, either one of the Hudland properties. But anyway, because building's not on slab. I mean, that racetrack piece is it's a 3 acre piece.
Mm-hmm.
It's 120,000 square feet. This is not a 12,000 square foot zoning district, but could they get 10 houses in there set up as a village? 10,
And
12,000
again,
square foot.
if we can go ahead and work with, as you said, and work with the developer going, all right, the town of Ayer owns that strip that comes off of Groton Harvard Road and it goes into the Hudland property, that might give them better access to make a circle instead of a cul-de-sac. And with that, have it go out to, if there's some sort of agreement that might be able to happen, that if you build these village, in that 3 acre, lot area, I mean, again, unless you ask, it's gonna be no.
It's gonna
So,
take some serious engineering and to have to see what they come up with. If they go through the steps that we require, there's gonna be many opportunities for the planning board and others to take a look at their preliminary drawings and what comes up, and that's the perfect time to work with the developer to put some of these pieces together. But I'll go back to Ron's statement on one thing that was a little bit off. This is much smaller than the project opposite the Madigan property on Route 2A. The Madigan property over there is closer to 11 or 12 acres or more, and they're saving 50% of it under the open space requirement.
That's the
So
DeCarlos property, Ken?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that was almost 13, 14
If
acres.
this
yeah.
were to come in as a subdivision, they have to say 50% of it is open space and under our new regulations. So they'd only have maybe, I don't know, less than 4 acres to work on. Build a road and so forth. But all this stuff is great because if and when something comes in, that's when we could try to open it up for ideas and see if we can work with the developer.
okay. And going back, Sean, I mean, this would be something that the select board would want, to be presented to them saying, this is an opportunity that maybe we can move forward on. Am I right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, all right. All right, well, I think what Alicia's saying, again, of coming up with that list possibly for January, of properties that would be the town owns. Those is like maybe 3 that Barbara Turney spoke about that were possibly going into tax title. Since she's been here, there really hasn't been anything that has been taken over. So this is all, new frontier and such. And some of the property that is out there, it's like they're small little parcels. There really isn't much to go ahead and be able to build on. However, maybe a nice little place for CPC to spend money for a pocket park and whatever. But
Yeah.
I think, again, we'll put it on the agenda for next, it sounds funny to say next year, but that's only a couple weeks away. So we can put that on the agenda for January. And I think that will work out good. And then at least we might be able to do something and possibly have some sort of future connection or whatever. Anything else that people want to bring up with regards to that property?
No, but I have a question for Sean to think about. And this has to do with the general trend that we're looking at, property by the town. Does the school department control all the school property? What's the umbrella there is what I'm getting at. Does the Board of Selectmen have some kind of oversight? Or when you turn it over to the school, do they control the whole property? It's my question.
That's my understanding, is that the school district controls all that property.
All right.
Okay.
I always want to ask Mr. Diskin why he asked those questions, but I'm not going to right now.
Because there's a tremendous amount of extra land on the Groton Shirley Road that goes way beyond the school grounds. And I want to see some trail. There are some trails in there, but there's many opportunities right there. But I just don't know who controls it.
Groton Harvard or Groton Shirley?
No, he meant Groton Harvard.
Groton
Yeah.
Harvard Road. What did I say? Groton Shirley?
Yeah.
Yeah, you had that one on your mind for a while, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And I mean, you still have got the road that goes nowhere from Groton Harvard. So with that, I mean, there are trails and opportunities that could be there. So I think I can hear the brain clicking for Ken of, let's see what else we might be able to get done there. All right, moving on with the agenda, the tax title properties, like I just, gave the update that there were some properties out of the 30. I haven't had a chance really to delve that far. Hold on, let me admit Colleen. Colleen is now going to be joining us. Okay, welcome, Colleen. And with that, there are some properties that like I say, the town is looking at for back taxes and such. So with that, it's more of just digesting it all and trying to find out whether or not there's something that is viable or not. There really wasn't anything that stood out. Again, some of it were small parcels and such. So we did move a little bit ahead on that. Not much more, so. Okay, anything else, any questions with regards to the tax title properties? All right, next on the agenda is the air rental assistance guidelines. I gather, Alicia, did you go to the select board meeting yesterday?
She did.
Okay, and
She did a great job.
Thanks, Sean. And Sean did a great job too of supporting and talking about it. And I talked to Robert today because we mentioned that we were hoping to be able to be advertising this by January 1st. And he came up to the office and said, I heard you say that I'm going to try and get this back from council by the 15th. And I think he's being optimistic, but great. I said, oh, good. That sounds good. So that we can be possibly advertising it by the 1st, but maybe if we have to put it off to the 15th, we can still I have to change some dates in there and everything like that, but we can still get it moving right away. I did realize that I didn't send out, I got some great feedback from both Sean and Jeff on the rental application, and I didn't send you a copy of that. So I'll send out a copy to everybody of that, and any other feedback that people see that needs to be changed on that, please send it on to me. Do you think we need to meet, or can we get approval on that just over that the application looks fine to everyone? I don't think we have to vote on it or anything.
I think because most of those changes were like, they were grammatical, or they didn't change, at least from me. I'm sure, I don't know for Jeff, but I don't think they changed the spirit or the nature of what the application was. So
I need to go back and read. I might have changed something that I decided I didn't like how it said. And so I'll go just a guideline, a requirement. I need to go back and see if I changed anything. And if I did, I'll send it out to everybody and get their approval.
Yeah, and I was going to say Alicia. I was going to say Alicia, like Mr. Copeland. If it's not a substantive change, it's perfectly fine. I mean, as you said, most of the stuff I was picking up on was bold versus italics versus 2021, 2022, 2023, things that were easily read through quickly when you do it a lot.
If I'm changing dates and everything like that, I will change it. And I'm always happy to have someone check my work, because I do make little mistakes like that. And so it's great to have people read through it once.
But I also want to say it was I found it was good.
Thank you.
There was very little to do to it, Alicia.
Yes. Thank you. Well,
And you guys did a good job last night, even though you did lean on Mr. Copeland a little too much. You had it in the bag. You totally had it in the bag, Alicia. But Sean did a good job backstopping you there.
I got a note from Carly saying, "Oh my goodness, I didn't send the guidelines to the board because they're still at the it's still at council." And I said, "No problems." And so we just, I just put together that couple PowerPoint points on that. I didn't know if the board would want to read through those guidelines, that they have to read through so much as it is.
I think they got what they needed, which is basically the timing, which is you'll open it up and then sometime later you'll nail it down, and then within 45 days of closing the application process, you'll be making decisions. And I think they got that, which is what they need to get.
yeah, and I think since it's not really, the board's not approving it, just more supporting something, and I think you definitely did a great job and offered what we needed.
Okay, thanks.
right. So my question is, like, with the application and the guidelines and such, I think we gave a thumbs up at our last meeting. And with that, if we get to look at it before it, because we should look at it after town council reviews it, just in case town council makes any type of changes. So we probably should have that on our January agenda and meet early January instead of later.
Mhm. Yeah, I was just thinking that I need to give you guys of the packet that I'll be handing out to take a quick look at. So I'll be in touch with everyone when I hear back from town council, and I'll start putting the packet together so that we know what it's gonna look like,
Okay.
including if there's anything more that I need about the landlord. Pat, you gave me a lot of stuff on the landlord. I've got some of the landlord requirements on the application. I just need to confirm that that's all that we need. So, I'll put together a packet, send it out, and maybe we'll have an early January, maybe first week of January sometime meeting if we want. And worst case scenario, we don't start advertising, or we start advertising, we do it simultaneously.
I think that sounds good, because no matter what, we probably could advertise it. I mean, again, advertising that it's going to be available and, the basic guidelines and such, and start getting in touch with your office. And
Yes.
I think that, because you'll get people jumping on the bandwagon right away, but then it takes sometimes a couple weeks, for people to realize what's going on. So,
Alicia, if I
Yes.
may, if you want to get together, let me know. I can either come to your office or you come to mine and we can go through some of that.
That sounds
Okay.
good. Thank you.
all right, thank you, Pat.
And through the chair, if I may. This probably goes without saying, but Alicia, when we're getting these applications in, if you don't mind just tracking all of them, as well as the scoring system, just so we have a general idea of exactly not only how many people are applying, but where they fall in those categories. How many people are applying that are extremely low income? How many people are applying that are families with children? And I think it would be helpful so that the trust knows in the future, what we should be thinking about allocating for this program going forward, or trying to, what kind of funds we should be trying to obtain.
And
Yes.
how bad the need really is. I think that sounds good, Sean.
Not to make more work for you.
I was just thinking, oh my goodness, so I have to qualify streets and things like that. And I have to give them code numbers because I can't use names of people and all that's when I'm pulling in income. And so I just realized, oh yeah, I got to put that system together, which is fine. And once the system's together and there's no names involved with everything, then it's easy to just make up a spreadsheet on that sort of thing.
Thank God for Excel.
I'm really, really good at putting information to Excel. So Alicia, if you want to sit there and drink wine and tell me what to type, I'll just keep doing it. And I have a Zoom account too, so we can make it a work session.
There you go. I might take you up on that because I'm not as good. I'm good at using Excel. I'm not good at creating the forms.
I'm not kidding. I have done data entry like you wouldn't believe. So we can,
Okay.
All right, that sounds good. Anything else with regards to the application, the rental assistance? All right, I'm gonna keep moving on for the old business. Any update with regards to Air Commons?
We have not heard anything. How long has it been since it went in? I guess it went in the end of October in the end.
Was it October 28th was
Yeah, I think it
the
was
letter
October.
went in?
Yes, so it's just been over 30 days. Well, a little bit, 30 days in a week. So we're at 5.5 weeks. We have not heard anything. We're still, the state is just like everybody else, really busy. So, but I'm very hopeful that we'll hear something. And as soon as I hear something, I'll put something out to everybody.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. Anything else on Air Commons? All right,
I rode by there today. It looks really, really well organized. The piece of property. They're cleaning it up. No, seriously, it's been clean.
Are they?
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if you got to go by a lot to realize what's happened. And I've watched these properties get cleaned up over time. It's pretty amazing.
Oh,
Zach's
nice.
been doing something and Zach is moving forward. So
Right,
Well,
that's
that's
good
a
to
good
know.
sign.
I'm hoping it's a good sign. Yep.
I wonder where Sydney Landscaping's gonna go. Because isn't that part of the property?
Yes.
That's the landlord's problem. I hate to
No,
say
no, no, I
it.
know, I know. I like Sydney Landscaping, that's why.
Yeah.
Okay, next on the agenda is the training sessions. Again, I just keep reaching out every once in a while over to Mass Housing Partnership. Just make sure that they know that we're still, we still want to go ahead and do a type of, affordable housing 101 with them. And, anytime we're ready, we'll go ahead and set that in motion. So that was really good. So we still want to try to do that next year. Anything else that people have for old business that they want to discuss?
I got one, I'm, Madam Chair,
Yes, Ken.
something just dawned on me that maybe we should think about. When we look at these, and this is a personal preference thing, so when we go to look at different parcels, is there a preference by people on either of the committee or both committees on what location may be completely wrong? In other words, do some people think that parcels that we look at should be closer to the center of town, or could they be in any part of town? In a non-discriminatory way, we should look, I guess, at any location, but I wasn't sure if people had some limits that they would think about that would be preferable.
I have a very strong opinion about it, and it's, we should look at everything.
Okay.
It would be great for, especially for people that may not have great transportation. It would be wonderful if they were walking distance to various things, but I don't see how we can be picky when we don't even know how many properties are going to fall into that category. So does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that's strange is that some of these really, really large pieces of property that are out there that are owned by different members of the community or over associations, they're protected in some kind of way. They could be protected under, forestry, agriculture, all kinds of things. And I don't know if we would just completely discount those kinds of properties, or we would say, you know what, maybe the landowner would cut off a part of that land and make it
Yeah.
available.
We should look at them. We should look at them.
everything. I think that's what I would say is the right answer, but I wasn't sure.
Mm-hmm.
Alicia?
Well, since we agree, then I think that's the right answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Alicia?
So I probably should have brought this up before when we were talking about tax title. There was one parcel that Alan and I saw that actually, but we need to go talk to the owner. We know the owner. It has an antique house on it. It's an important antique house, and it would be something that we would probably need to put together everything from a historic grant to a number of different things, as well as possibly some housing and everything. And we don't quite understand why it's it's not fully in tax title. They haven't pushed a lien on it or anything, but there's a lot owed on it in taxes. So there is something that we could start talking about after Alan and I talked to the owner. Alan knows the owner pretty well. And it would be a really interesting project of just covering a lot of different programs or once in the town. So, and I'll say it out loud. I mean, because so it's the house, the antique house next to the laundromat on Park Street.
Thought so.
And that's a really old house.
Yeah.
And there's some land behind it and things like that, whether you want to do housing and historic preservation, what you want to do up front with it, what the upfront building, all that kind of stuff. And the owner, it's empty, and but my view is buy it from the owner. Don't take it from the owner. Clear up his tax bill, buy it from the owner, and put together a project, an RFP project, or, that What are you saying, Ron? I'm hearing you.
You're on mute, Ron.
I was talking to Pat. It was about something else, quite frankly. Sorry. I'll leave it off mute so you can listen.
Just, it's just, this would take a lot of work and a lot of people getting involved, but it would be it's one of those things when you put things all together, and save an old house, create housing, or create whatever community, whatever you need to create. And it needs people thinking out of the box.
You might have a 21E problem.
Yes.
Oh, you think? Maybe, yes.
But
What
again,
is that?
I'm going to jump in and tell you, 21Es don't scare people anymore, Ron. They're expensive. But
Oh,
you
I
can pick-
didn't say they did. It's just
Okay,
that they
21E is a clean.
the only
cleanup.
people
Environmental
it
cleanup.
scares are banks.
They're not even scared anymore.
Go
This
talk to
only
our
makes-
banker.
I'm sorry, Janet. I started jumping in, Madam Chair, but a 21E is an environmental cleanup issue. Something was
Okay.
spilled on the property. If it
Mhm.
was a laundromat, more than likely they think there's going to be dry cleaning fluid type stuff.
All right, sort of
solvents.
like our West Main Street.
Yeah, and be honest with you, the town of Belmont just did. I was involved in one of those in Belmont. It's crazy. Everyone finally said it aloud to themselves, 21E, they just went forward and took care of it.
Mhm.
It can be done.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
And,
definitely.
you know,
can be done.
Alicia, you're talking about an antique house. I'm thinking rooming house. There's
So-
our rooming house.
But there's possibly room for housing behind it too.
Hmm.
And there's possibly room. And the one thing I do know is our office has talked to the owner. He would love to see that house saved. But I'm very much a person of being equitable, and it's been empty for a long time. Maybe we buy it from the owner. Maybe we, and pay out off the taxes as well as give him whatever. I think we need to be fair and honest with it. And, but I just want people to start thinking about what would you want to do with something like that, and where would you want to go with it?
Mhm. Well, that like I say, as we're looking at parcels, that would be one. So,
He came into our office years ago asking about historic preservation grants.
all right. Well, we can go ahead and I'll follow up with you then, Alicia. All right, and see what we might be able to go ahead and talk. All right. Anything else on their old business? All right, under new business, one thing that I did want to bring up to you is after we had our discussions about Devon's Crest and Mimi's Place last time, I went ahead and I started looking at some other type of homeless opportunity, homeless programs that were within the state of Massachusetts. And I reached out and spoke to this woman, Robin Frost, over at the Massachusetts Coalition for the Homeless. And she got me in touch with, another, hold on a second, Massachusetts Housing and Shelter Alliance. And both individuals that I spoke to, Robin and this one woman over at the Alliance there, were sort of amazed that we were having this type of issue of developers coming in, taking over Devon's Crest, revamping them, and increasing the amount of rent and such. That it's all the way out to Ayer. And yeah, I was sort of taken aback by when they were talking about it, because it's like, guys, it's been moving west, so long that, but they're now starting to hear about it. And if we need assistance, they're willing to go ahead and give us some assistance. They also recommended, going to legal aid and going to RCAP and such. And it's like, well, that's what the individuals are doing. So it's like they've got the systems in place, but it seems like no matter what, it's all the same system. But we now have another opportunity, they've got this one thing called Pay for Success. and it connects different philanthropists with projects and such, that I told them, I said, it would be nice if we might be able to get on the agenda so we can talk to individuals about maybe other opportunities of nonprofit developers coming in and building, projects. So I just want to let you know that, I did move forward and tried reaching out to other agencies and such.
Yeah, Janet.
Janet?
Sorry.
I'm
Yeah.
Janet, I just need
Yeah.
clarification. Mass Coalition for the Homeless, and they referred you to, what was the name of the other organization?
Right.
It's called Massachusetts Housing and Shelter Alliance.
Mass Housing and Shelter Alliance. Thank you.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Ken.
I was trying to get clarification on that group that said they were philanthropists, what the name of that group was.
That's the Massachusetts Housing and Shelter Alliance.
Okay,
They're the
so
ones who do the pay for, like I say, it's called Pay for Success. And
that was what was that again? Something for success?
Pay.
Pay?
Pay.
Oh, pay for success?
Pay for Success.
That's easy.
And they, like I say, they work with individuals, and they try to, again, almost like our rental assistance program, they'll allot a certain amount of money to help a certain amount of homeless individuals to go ahead and get them somewhere. So, yes, Cindy.
Yes, this is sort of somewhat related. Alicia can correct me on this if I get anything wrong, but last time I talked with the Devon's Crest group a week or so ago, they had received $250,000 from that Jamie Eldridge got for them, but they don't know when they're going to get it. They don't know what they're allowed to do with it. They have no idea what it's for. They don't know if it goes into the, and it's kind of one of those, well, we asked for money, we had a plan, and we got turned down, but they got this, and nobody seems to know exactly what can be or can't be done with it. But that, I'm sure those details will come out.
I had the same question, Cindy. I saw that Jamie said that he was able to get it, but there was no details to any of it. I asked for a little bit more clarification on it, but they're still in the reconciliation process for, a 10-day period. So that funds may not even ever materialize.
Well, they did go and apply to be a 501c3 or, to have that kind of status. So I guess they do have a bank account, and maybe it's just going to go to them, but there's got to be some sort of strings on what it can be used.
Yeah, there always is.
I've got no clue. They don't know, or at least I haven't found out.
So the tenant association became the they're applying for 501c3?
Yeah, they're not finished with the process, I don't think, but they did apply.
Okay.
So after you left, Cindy, Alan and I were looking a little further on that, and it looks like it's linked to some group. And I don't know what group it, I need to go back and ask Alan where he found that. We were kind of doing a deep dive because it was a group we didn't recognize. So somebody's name, there's a placeholder in there for where it's going to.
Is it one of the activists, one of the community developers?
Well, that's what we were trying to figure out, yeah.
Because there's two specifically that are involved with them, both of them out of Acton.
Okay, we'll do a little more research.
We'll figure it out.
That would be nice to know. Yeah.
Yeah, because if it's not enough money to do what we wanted to do for them. I asked for $800,000. They got $250,000, or they might get it. And I just don't know what they can accomplish with that. Hopefully a lot, but
Yeah, because you would imagine that, again, there should be some sort of guidelines of this is what it's going to be used for and such.
My guess would be that it's going to be another form of rental assistance, or similar to RCAP funds to assist with moving, that would be, but you know, if it's the entire group, it's good. It's just not really a
It's
lot.
not, it's not as much as we wanted to try to get for them. Oh, well.
Mhm. Let's take a second set of letters I heard that they went out. Am I wrong of the rumor
There
mill?
was a second set of letters, but again, it doesn't seem like it's everybody. But there are people now that have been contacted for the first time. And there's also people that have gotten sort of formal eviction notices, meaning they're starting to set some court dates. I don't know that any court dates have actually been set, but it's the next step. That's all I know.
Okay. All right, well, we'll keep our fingers crossed. That would be nice if they did get some sort of funding to go ahead and help with rental assistance and moving costs and such. So.
No, of course, that's not their main goal. The Tenants Association main goal is to stay right where they are.
Right, and to purchase the property.
Yeah, so I think that what they're looking for right now is a sort of an angel developer that will negotiate the property away from Brady Sullivan and will develop it. And, you know, although I think that would be great, and I think that we can agree that would be great, I just don't know how likely that is.
Right, especially
Brady has not indicated that they're at all interested in selling.
Yeah.
It just, the disruption to the residents would be the same though, wouldn't it? And I'm sorry to think about it that way, but if the property goes through a redevelopment step, unfortunately, my understanding is it's been a long time since any one of the units there has been looked at. And the amount of work that's going to have to take place, the disruption is going to be there.
Yeah, I guess the hope is that it would be done in a more humane way with people sort of moving from unit to unit while other things go. I don't know.
I understand. I just sometimes I'm too much of a pragmatist. You're more than welcome to tell me to be quiet. Or it's just no.
No, I see where you're coming from, Jeff. I mean, no matter what, it's going to be a disruption, but then they'll be able to go back into, you know, their residence after the disruption.
Right.
So that's the final goal.
Yeah, and they're living and the property will be safe, and the abatement will take place. There's so many things good that honestly.
No, I know. I saw Alicia, you had your hand up.
I just was going to say that building permits are being pulled for plumbing, for electrical, for a bunch of things right now. The building department is inundated with permits from Brady Sullivan for any of them, for the empty.
Could you repeat yourself, Alicia? I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said building permits are being pulled for that property as we speak. Lots of them for work being done.
Okay. I'd like to make a comment to the chair, through the chair.
Go ahead.
I've already mentioned this to Mr. Schultz, the building commissioner, but I think that the Affordable Housing Committee and the trust should be looking very closely at our inclusionary zoning requirements now. And my take on that is that, you know, when construction is of a certain percentage above and beyond, you know, 25% or whatever the number is, there's a number in there for what they call reconstruction, substantial reconstruction. I'm trying to make a leap from, if someone comes in and does substantial reconstruction on a certain amount of units, that they're going to fall underneath our inclusionary zoning requirement. So I'm thinking about this myself. I've talked to Charlie about it, and I'm trying to think how we could make sure, in the event that this is going to become, you know, a big project that's renovated, we should at least get the affordable housing units that we might be entitled to under the inclusionary zoning. And that's my thought.
That would be awesome. What does Charlie say?
It's too early to know.
Okay.
Without seeing what their permits are and what they're actually gonna do, it's just too soon. That's the first I heard of any permits coming in.
Sean?
So maybe for the planning board folks, for clarification for myself, if they're doing just like a general remodel, like facelift of the apartments, would then it not qualify versus if they were to do some major structural things?
That's the question. That's where it's gonna be legal. I'm gonna be a legal conclusion. And it really is gonna take an effort to dig in the weeds and determine. So I'm of the mind that when you do substantial amount of work, you should be compliant with the inclusionary zoning bylaw. That's my own opinion only. It's brand new. You're hearing it for the first time. So
Okay.
And,
I've said I've only spoken to Charlie about it, but that's the concept that we put in place is based on the fact that if you do 5 units, the 6th unit needs to be, an affordable unit. Now I don't think in the language in the requirement, I believe refers to construction. It may not refer to like brand new development. So we're going to be into the weeds of the words and how we interpret those words, I think, to determine if in fact they build 5, the 6th one needs to be, part of the state requirement for affordable housing, fall within that framework.
So is it something, I'm sorry, Cindy.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna, to follow up on that. So is this something that would be worth us raising to town council now? Since permits are just now being pulled, maybe we could get some guidance or clarification before the process starts any further?
Well, that's again, only my opinion. So I'd have to go down and talk to Charlie, see the permits, see what they're asking to do, but none of us know until we see it. And then it would potentially go to town council, I guess. And I mean, I got the inclusionary zoning right here, but if you take a broad brush, I think inclusionary zoning this is like a project that lands right there. I don't think you can try to avoid it by doing just renovations. I think if you're doing this kind of work, maybe the 5th unit should be affordable. That's my contention.
That would be awesome.
I'll
Cindy?
lose most likely, but at least I'm gonna.
I don't know this for a fact, but my gut says that it's going to be more than just a simple refurb.
Yeah,
If
that
you
would be
look
my
at-
thought.
If you look at their letterhead, have you seen their stationery?
No,
No.
Stationary logo for Devon's Crest Village is a brick building.
yeah, well, that's the whole.
Just
So,
a thought.
Yeah.
There's a very strong possibility there'd be multiple types of housing in there in different locations and so forth, but all of it has to comply with what we already have in place.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna jump in because I get to have this conversation with Mr. Diskin every now and again, and we get to discuss what, and Sean, your question is what's going to tip the scale? Okay, and what is a substantial versus a non-substantial renovation? I've run afoul of this I have walked this line doing renovations in Cambridge. Okay, good news is the building only had 5 units in it. So, when they finally realized what it was, but is it structural? Is it non-structural? Is it a facelift? Is it not a facelift? Oftentimes the deciding factor is the value of the work needing to be done on the building. It's just a dollar value. And we may discover that when back in 1965, when this project became housing, when the town agreed and allowed it to be housing and allowed to be purchased by Mr. Tossi, that he has not done any substantial upgrades to the property since 1965. And there is a substantial amount of wiring and plumbing that needs to be done. To rehab wiring and plumbing without going in and doing walls and ceilings and other stuff and floors is challenging. So, and I can only imagine what the insides of those units look like after 50, 60 years of people kind of putting up short walls, redoing their kitchens on the weekend, a plumber coming in, putting in a commode or something like that. So we may just be in a situation where the amount of work that Brady Sullivan needs to do is substantial. The other piece is they may have their own in-house cost structure. If you've ever gotten a building permit, it says, what's the estimated cost of your project? And good luck lying to a building department. They figured it out pretty quickly. So even if they have in-house people, and so they're not spending $120 a foot, they're spending $80 a foot like Toll does to build stuff. They're still going to hit some pretty high numbers pretty quickly, I imagine. So,
Question clarification, Jeff.
yeah.
Is it an actual dollar amount or is it a percent of value?
I can't answer that, Cindy, and I want to. And I've had that conversation with building. Ron could probably tell you he's a Cantabrigian, but I dealt with the building department in Cambridge on this a lot, and they had hard and fast rules.
Yeah,
and
I know there's hard and fast.
We may not, and our zoning bylaw may not be written in such a way that it gives Charlie or gives the building department a hard and fast rule. But I'm really interested to hear what Mr. Diskin is saying, because they may discover that they've got lead solder piping in there.
Well, I'd be interested in it too, because I know that, for example, when you start to do renovations, if you tip over a certain percent of the total valuation, then everything in the building must then come up to code. So this seems to be kind of a parallel thing, but just thinking.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that, but you get a homeowner who buys a 40-year-old home, okay, on Washington Street, and they have the desire to build a beautiful kitchen, open concept kitchen on the first floor, and they're going to go in and buy a house in $400,000. It's an old house, and they're going to open up the first floor. They're going to spend a lot of money. The question is, do you make them update all of the wiring in the entire building?
No, it's private.
Or not? So,
No.
but then again, if they buy it for 400, they put 150 into the kitchen. I have a family member who did this in our apartment in Cambridge, a condo in Cambridge, and she kept tripping over this. You're doing so much work, you got to do everything. And they finally realized she's just crazy about how nice her kitchen needs to be. So there's a certain amount of discretion there, but I would be curious, because I'm not even sure. I mean, Devon's Crest is built by the United States government as short-term temporary housing. And I don't know what building inspectors are going to find. And I'm not giving us information to hang our hats on. I just think Mr. Diskin, again, MVP, he thinks about this stuff very deeply, and maybe something to look into.
And yeah, I'm going to say I agree. And when you make the comparison, like say with that woman just doing the kitchen, these apartments, every single room has going to have to be touched. It's not just going to be, specific rooms. It's going to be the whole place.
I mean, when's the last time a lead paint was done on any of those? What's the official word for that?
Yeah, Alicia has gone ahead and, they've had to doing some of the renovations inside some of those areas.
And when was the last time a property transfer certification was done? I mean, it's an interesting thing. I'm sure the developer has done this before and has figured out a solution.
Yeah,
So.
Alicia, you had your hand up?
Just a couple things. I'm told by the Board of Health that they do have lead certificates on that. I don't think that I would be very interested if my lead inspector went out there, because they check soil, they check everything at this point in time. I'm helping place a couple people in there. One in particular is really struggling because of the level of mold in there. So I think we're talking about some pretty major renovations, and Ken, if you can go forward with this concept, I think it's worth looking into.
And let us know what you need.
A lot of attorneys.
Well, we got town council on whatever it's called.
Speed dial?
Speed dial, yeah. Retainer, that's the word.
Retainer, speed dial retainer.
I want to just go back to one thing that I've got it right in front of me here. So the word that's used, I think I used the word construction erroneously. The word that's used in this section is the word development. So it becomes a question of what is a development?
Yeah.
So it basically says, and this applies to all all districts to any development of 5 or more townhouse or multifamily dwelling units. I think we have a bunch of multifamily dwelling units over there.
Mhm.
Development shall not be segmented, meaning you can't say, look, one's on one lot and put the other one to, you can't segment it and try to avoid the bylaw. It's all one project, one development. So there's language in here, but the language that's tricky is the word development.
Mm.
Can we make a case that it's a development? And if
Mhm.
it's a development,
They've given it a name. They've given it a development name.
all I'm saying, I'm just reading you what's here.
Yeah.
I don't know about any
No,
of
I
this.
mean, this is good. This is,
I actually think the argument would be that it would have fallen underneath the it would have fallen. It was built previous to zoning. But if it actually went through the zoning process here in town, it would have had to come under the subdevelopment law and a development. In some way, shape, or form, it would have to be a development. Now, whether it's pre-existing non-conforming, that would be an attorney's argument.
Mhm.
But that's
Anyway, that's something to think about and maybe get a little work done.
All right,
so
that
if
sounds great.
it's 1 in
Thank-
5, there's 20 units right there
Mhm.
at least.
Thank you for bringing that up. All right. We've all got stuff to do. Anything else in new business? Jake, is there anything? Go ahead, Colleen.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say for the housing trust, I think we need to put on our radar, maybe for the January meeting, to talk about starting to work on the application for more CPC funds for the trust. Because that we'll have to have an application into them by March. So just kind of putting it on our radar for when we get back from the holidays at the January and February meetings, we really need to finalize that
All right.
application.
Thank you for the reminder.
Is there an application from last year, Janet?
There is.
Could you
That
share
was-
it with us,
that-
please?
I'll go ahead and I'll share it. Yeah, it was for the 30K. So yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll share it and then we can just update the numbers and such. I will go ahead and send that out to you all. Anything else? Jake, is there anything that you've got that you want to cover?
No.
All right, if there's nothing else, our next meeting, we'd like to try to have something in January. I believe that we're trying to get something hopefully earlier in January so that we can get that rental assistance application out. Week of the 3rd, week of the 10th. What do we want?
Does Wednesday the 5th work?
I've got CPC that meeting
Oh,
that day. I'm sorry.
Nope, that's all right. Well, not opposed to a Monday night thing on the 3rd.
I think it's important enough to get it done, so pick a night.
Yeah. The 3rd would be fine with me.
3rd works.
All right, Jake.
We could even do the 4th if Tuesday's easier because the select board's not going to meet that night.
Oh,
Cindy
Okay,
said no.
Cindy.
Yeah, Cindy's a no. So how about we do Monday the 3rd
All right.
It's great.
at 6 o'clock?
Sounds good.
And we'll do it a joint meeting as well?
Yeah, just a question. Maybe at Monday, that meeting, we should talk about when we need to have joint meetings and not have joint meetings.
I'm sorry.
When do we need to start breaking out and having joint versus non-joint meetings?
Oh, that's why I'm asking, whether or not this should be just the Board of Trustees and again, the committee can go ahead and, the committee members can join in if they want to, just to be public participants. And then the committee, we need to have a separate meeting ourselves to talk about some of this land. So,
No.
so it can be, I tell you what, how about Jake? How about if the January 3rd meeting be just the Board of Trustees, because that's really the focus is going to be on the rental assistance and such. I'll send the application of what was applied for the 30,000. So you guys have that. And I think that works out well. And if the committee members want to join, they can. And the committee, we can have another meeting, say, on maybe the week after, so we can start talking about the land.
I'm not opposed to doing it at the same time if it's works for people, Janet, but yeah, I just, as going forward into going forward, figuring out when the trust needs to be part of it and when the committee needs to be part of it. Of course, I'm obviously very, very interested in the whole land thing, so I'll stick around no matter what. And you can, you have to get mute capabilities though, Janet, so you can shut me up. But I'm really interested in about the land thing. It's coming up for us at the planning board, so we're doing a deep dive on it now with conservation too. So
All right,
I think
excellent.
we can, Mr. Diskin and I may be able to actually add a little bit of knowledge on some of the stuff.
Oh, that'd be
And
good.
he's
Like I
walked
say,
it all more than once.
you can always do public participation too as well, you know, so it doesn't have to be a joint meeting. Because
I'll have
I'd
to call
like
you
to-
Madam Chair. Yeah.
Alicia, you were going to say something?
I want you guys all to talk about where you're getting your value. In some ways, it's very valuable to have two different meetings because it's like splitting up jobs and getting people going different ways. But if everybody's going to show up for both meetings, then put it in one meeting because you're going to be there anyway. And it's better not to have two meetings in a month rather than one meeting in a month. So that's actually have everybody think about it, weigh in, and it's almost like having, that's what we originally thought. The committee would be looking at some other things that needed to be looked at. The trust would be running the programs. But in the same sense, there's a lot of valuable information from everybody here. So
You know
I don't
what?
know the answer.
Yeah, the answer probably could be is like when you have like a public hearing, you know, during a meeting, you know, you have it set, you know, a certain time. So the committee can meet the beginning and then the board of trustees can meet, you know, towards the other side or vice versa, whatever. So that you have a specific, you know, again, close the meeting for the committee and then open up the meeting, call to order for the Board of Trustees. I think that might work out well. Because then this way here, there's no confusion, because I know that there's confusion when we do have public participation, who they're going to be talking, you know, who they talk to when we have a joint meeting. You know, is it, you know, Janet or is it Jake, you know, and such. So I think that might work out better if we focus in on one, you know, one component and then focus in on the other component. Even though people are going to be talking, you know, adding stuff, but it's more of this here would be the board's focus. This here would be the committee's focus. How's that sound?
I like that idea.
All right. So we'll keep it on the 3rd, and the 3rd we'll go ahead and generate the agenda so that one's focused and then there's another focus. And then we could just close the meeting
Right.
and open up the other.
My question on that though is your cat on the board or the committee? Because your cat was very attentive for this whole meeting.
He's on both.
Okay.
Definitely. You know? You should see him during the CPC meeting. Hi, Colleen.
So Sean, I was thinking about Dan's daughter who was having
yeah.
bedtime. Dan was doing a great presentation last evening for the DPW, and unfortunately it was like right at daughter's bedtime, and she was melting down in the room he was in, and he was doing the best job of being a phenomenal town employee, and he finally just I got to deal with this guy.
It was great.
It was awesome.
Adorable.
Yeah.
Well, it goes to show you that we do have lives.
Exactly.
Of course.
It's like, all right.
No, yeah, this is kind of like a land use discussion right now. This is kind of like a land use committee because we're looking at getting this whole thing off the ground. So I think it's a good idea to do it together, at least in January.
All right. And what do you call, when you're saying the land use committee, I've asked the land use committee whether or not I might be able to go there and ask questions and such. You know, when they have their meeting, come on, Kim, when they have their meeting, because it's like, why wasn't this Hudlin property looked at? I mean, it really just got me, you know, it's like we've been talking about it since 2016 but whatever. Yeah.
The fact that they get together on a bi-weekly basis to me is amazing. It's really good.
Well,
And I understand that it has been challenging at times.
Well, I mean, because of the pandemic or whatever, but they've been meeting for over a year, correct?
The personalities sometimes in the room can be very challenging.
Okay, all right, but
Adjourn.
but it's more of what comes of these meetings? I mean, it's not really an open meeting, so there's no minutes that you get to go ahead and look at, right?
My understanding, it's a working session. Ken would know, but it's a working session of people who are involved in the different aspects of zoning and construction. We've got public safety, both public safety. We've got DPW because they're bringing water, sewer. They're providing services for it. We've got building because building permits are a very important part of it, and code enforcement, which they're working on. And then you've got the town planner because he kind of has an understanding of what's going on from there. And you've got conservation because they know what's going on from there. And
Right,
Cindy,
and I see Cindy, but Mark is the one who runs the meeting, the town planner.
Archambault runs them. Okay.
Yes, he does. Yeah, hold on a second, Alicia. Cindy?
I want to leave. I'm sorry.
I know that. That's why I want to go ahead. I got to go too as well.
Sorry.
Alicia,
No, I'm good.
you're all good? All right, so our next meeting is the 3rd. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, and for Ron, you're going to second? Because we have to adjourn both meetings.
Second.
All right, and chair says aye, so the committee has adjourned. Jake, you want to go ahead and do the same with your board?
Certainly. Can I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
You got them both, Jake. Go for it.
Thank you.
All right, so both meetings have been adjourned, and thank you very much, everybody. This was a great discussion tonight.
Thank
Happy
you. guys.
holidays to
Great
all.
meeting.
You too.
Great
Thank you.
question.